Some said it would never happen. Some said I wouldn't live to see it. I didn't disagree. However, it's here. Episode 100 of the Real Life Caddie podcast. It's a landmark. It's a milestone. It's a miracle. It's potentially the greatest Caddie achievement of all time. Too much? I don't care. Most podcasts don't get past episode 10, so this has been a monumental achievement. To celebrate reaching the 100th episode of the podcast, we decided to do something a little different. This episode is a fantastic selection of Caddie and golf stories from listeners to the podcast. We asked you for your best stories, and you delivered. Highlights include ruptured testicles, one Caddie shitting himself, and ladyboys in Bangkok. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in on social media or via email, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. I really enjoyed putting this episode together, and I hope that you equally enjoy listening. Hi, this is a Real Life Caddie podcast. Sorry we can't take your call right now, but please leave your name and a great story after the beep.
Hey, Big G, Steve Hawker, Caddie, also known as VP at The Rock. Been caddying for about 7-8 years now, and I've got a pretty good story for you for when I first started caddying on how I got my nickname. I was walked out to the range with my caddy master, Carl, at the time, and he looks at me and says, "Hey, you're gonna carry Dan Quayle's bag today." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And so I go up to Dan, introduce myself. "Hey, Dan, I'm Steve." He's hosting these Irish guys, and I don't think anything of it. They're all calling him, VP. And I'm calling him Dan pretty aggressively throughout the whole day. Early in the round, especially, he's, leaving tap-in putts short. I'm really getting on his case. And, come on, Dan, stop decelling the blade. You got to, accelerate through your putts so you make these tap-ins. You don't look like a joke out here. These guys are laughing at me. And then on we were 8 holes in, it's par 5. He lays one up, and the one Irish guy says to him, "VP, that was a great shot." I take off walking with the bags, and I'm like, "Dan, come here. I got to ask you a quick question." And he goes, "Yeah, what's that, Steve?" And I said, "Why the hell do these guys keep calling you VP?" And he was actually really nice about it. He goes, "Oh, well, I was the vice president." I was like, "Of what?" And he he stops walking and he lowers his sunglasses and he's like, "Of the United States of America, son." And I was like, "Oh shit!" I mean, I was beyond embarrassed. One of the Irish guys is on the ground rolling around laughing. Can't believe this caddy doesn't know who he's caddying for. He goes on the back 9. I've helped him pretty good with his putting, and he's starting to make a bunch of putts. And at the end of the round, he says to me, he goes, "Steve, you should probably get a jumper that says VP." So I got a jumper that says VP. I've been VP ever since. And, every time I see Dan, he calls me VP, and I call him Dan. There's my claim to fame. VP of what? I hope to catch up with you soon, Gordo. I love the podcast, and hope all's well.
Hello, Tim O'Neill here, professional golfer. And this little story, what happened to a friend of mine's caddy when I was down in Thailand in 2009. So basically, 2009, go to Thailand for Asian tour school. Anyone that's ever been to Thailand would know there's these Thai people that they have they call them lady boys. They look like ladies, and you literally can't tell if it's a man or a woman. So anyway, I didn't know this is my first time in Thailand. So we're down there just hanging out, and then so the second practice round, I was supposed to play with a buddy of mine, and this caddy didn't show up, and I was like, "Where's your caddy?" He was like, "Oh, he had a situation last night." And I was like, "What kind of situation?" So then he goes on and he's telling me, he's like, "Yeah, my caddy went out and went to a club and picked up this girl, and go back to the room, and they get to doing stuff, and I don't know if anyone's ever seen Hangover 2, but the situation where he had the same thing that he had. And I was like, first of all, I was like, if that would have happened to me, no one would know about it. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. And he was a little freaked out. And I was like, wow. I was like, yeah. I was like, he didn't know about that? He was like, no. I was like, there's no way if that has ever happened to me, I would be the only one to know about it for the rest of my life. So yeah, so that was like we laughed about that for like 3 or 4 holes, and then when I saw his caddy, like everyone knew at this point. So yeah, he laughed about it eventually, but it was like, man, like he didn't go into detail, but I was like, he was kissing on this dude and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, oh my god, I couldn't even look at him to say. So watch out when you go to Thailand, because anyone that's ever seen Hangover 2, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But you cannot tell at all. They look just like ladies. so so that's a story that I won't name the caddy. I think I forgot his name anyway. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
Hey guys, this is Matty D, and I'm here to tell you one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the golf course. The funniest thing I've ever seen on the golf course, I believe, is when my player peed all over his own face, head and face. And it's not one of those on purpose things either. It was on the golf course. So let me just set the scene for you guys. I'm working for this father and son, and we get to this elevated par 3 out there. It's about 100 yards. It's a windy day, one of those howling wind days, straight at us. It's good 4 to 5 clubs. One of those nasty days out there. Anyways, the dad shows up to the tee kind of grimacing and says, I got to pee real bad. So he points to the cliff behind us, and he says, I'm just going to go over there and pee. And his son and I kind of giggle, and yeah, at least pee downwind, Dad, ha, ha, ha. So he goes back there to pee and do his thing off the cliff. Meanwhile, his son and I are just discussing what shot we're going to hit into this madness of a wind we're facing, right? And then all of a sudden, I hear this, no, oh, God, oh, no, fuck, oh, no. And I look back, and Dad is shuffling and hopping back and forth, scurrying around like a crab in a mad attempt to avoid his own piss, right? But he's not. It's seemingly all his pee is coming right back at him. And it's not like blowing into his pant leg either. It's raining down on the guy. And even though the wind is his back, it's some crazy wind from below is blowing every drop that he sent over that cliff right back at his head. He's still peeing too, and he can't stop, right? So he has to finish, and he can't turn around because of all the wind at his back. And I'm telling you, no pee landed anywhere that day on earth but him. It was in his hair. It was in his ears, his face. It was in his glasses, all over his shoulder, his arms, his elbows had it. It was in his collar where he would normally sweat into it was just everywhere. Awful. At this point, his son and I are almost pissing ourselves, trying not to point and laugh, right? Because someone's going through that thing. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to laugh or what, but it's funny as hell. And he starts to giggle, and we just lose it. And we can't stop laughing. It was so funny. And it's dripping from everything. It's off. It's the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. Then all of a sudden, things got real serious for me. When he grabbed my towel and cleaned himself off with it. I mean, he dried his face and his ears and his glasses and everything else. And then he tried to give me that towel back, covered in pee and shame. That's your towel forever, he was notified. His son and I then laughed for about 3 or 4 more holes straight. I couldn't caddy. His son couldn't golf. We couldn't get anything done. We were just laughing till Dad was over it, over the joke. And he told us so. And he told us to stop because it wasn't funny anymore. And of course I stopped because I was reprimanded anyways. His son then pointed out to Dad that his glasses still had a pee mark on them. And that was it for us. We laughed then on the rest of the day. And we've been friends and clients ever since. And we've never stopped laughing. So good times, Frank. I really appreciate it. And thanks again. And thanks to you boys. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Big G, Zabo. Thanks for having me on again. Little quick story to add to the 100th episode. Congrats on that, guys. I'm a new caddy out at Whisper Rock in Scottsdale. This is my about 6th loop out. Our caddy master brings me out onto the range to caddy for this guy, member called Andy. And he's got a couple of guests out. They're all pretty decent players. Round's going pretty smoothly. Guys are doing okay. Just doing my best, helping out with yardages and everything. Little swing tips here and there. We get to hole 5. It's a long 2-shot par 5. Andy, he has a downhill lie going to an uphill approach, and I just give him that quick reminder, say, hey, match your shoulders to the slope to help with your swing path and everything. He says, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Round goes out, having a good time. I go back and look him up later because he's a good player, and I find out that Andrew McGee is that guy that got the home run on the par 4 at TPC Scottsdale. 20-year career, 6 wins. So, yeah, just giving tips to someone that already knows what the hell they're doing. Welcome to Caddie Life. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to hearing all the rest of your stories. Good luck with the rest of the season. Hope to see you guys soon.
Hello, everybody. This is Cam Hansen. Oh, I've been a caddy at Pebble Beach for a long time, and it all kind of blends into one year. So my story stems back to the year Tiger was playing at Cordoval, and somebody threw a hot dog at him on the green. That weird year where all those things were strange. And this story for me is kind of like my rock bottom. So they had a Monday event before that tournament across the highway at a place called the Institute. Tiger's supposed to play in this thing. All the pros are there, and Tiger's late. He doesn't show up. Everybody else plays this Monday thing that where like the grand prize was like a flat screen TV. And Tiger shows up as everybody's getting done. And he's getting ready to tee off on 10. We're all finished, and I'm running down to my truck, which is also on the side of 10. They put the caddy parking on the side of 10 fairway. And it's been a long day. I'm a little hungover, and they have left us as much pizza as we can eat. And I don't know if you know about caddies and pizza, but if it's free, fuck it. You're just going to just start shoving it in your face. So I just start shoving it in my face. I'm hungover. I'm not feeling good. I've just ran around the Institute. I'm like, oh, God, I got caddy jumpsuit on. I got pants on. I got underwear on. I got everything. I'm sweating, eating all this pizza, bloated. I feel crappy. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, my God, I have to poop so bad. This is not good. There's a brand new porta potty staring at me right next to my truck on the side of 10. Brand new. Never been used by anybody. But the weirdo in me has to start wrapping the toilet. And so I started mummy wrapping this thing. Even though it's a brand new porta potty, I can't get over the festival porta potties that I've always seen in my life haunting my everything. And I'm putting it around the thing, and I sneeze, and I just blow out through the underwear, through the pants, to the white caddy jumpsuit. It's just awful. It's like the worst moment of my entire life. And I'm just like, this did not just happen. I can't believe this. This is rock bottom for me. I'm never touching alcohol again. I'm never drinking. Not going to happen. I waddle over to my truck, which is backed in right up on the side of 10's fairway. I'm taking off the caddy jumpsuit, peeling these things. I have a towel, wipe the caddy towel in the suit, everything. Wrap the towel around my waist so that I'm not like naked to the world. And here comes fucking Tiger, his caddy at the time, Sean Foley. All these people are walking towards me because Tiger's hit one on this weird little 10th hole at the Institute on the left side of the fairway. I'm by myself in a towel, put my t-shirt on, towel on. They walk by, and as they're walking up to me, the only thing that comes out of my mouth is, I just shit my pants. I just had to explain why I was standing there in a towel. Nobody said a word to me. They all walked past me, continued on. I got in my truck and drove away as fast as I could. And I appreciate 100 caddy episodes. So thank you very much.
Hello, boys. How's it going? Kip calling in here from the great Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I thought I'd share one of my great caddy stories with you fellas. There's one day I was working at the Wii course, and I had this gentleman. We're standing on 2 fairway, and he's got a scorecard, but he's missing a pencil. He goes, Justin, he goes, I need to keep the score. I mean, we got a big match going here. He goes, you got a pencil on me. So I dig in my bib, and I just grab him any old pencil that's inside my bib. He takes the pencil, and he starts writing down the scores. And he goes, this is not going to work. I'm like, what will not work? He goes, the lead on the pencil is too soft. I can't work with lead like this. I said, well, what would you like me to do? He goes, I need a different pencil. I was like, I don't have another pencil. I was like, you want me to transcribe this in blood? I was like, you're going to have to work with what you got. So on that note,
some players are a little needier than others. Enjoy your day, fellas.
What up? What up? This is Trip Hobson from Crockett, Texas. My funniest caddy story has to be when my good friend and I, Will Holcomb V, we drove down from Crockett, Texas to Houston, Texas for a U.S. Junior Amateur Qualifier. Now, I had never caddied before in my life. He asked me to caddy. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I'm like, I'm caddy. It can't be that big of a deal. So after almost having a wreck on the freeway, we get to the course, and we got a 36-hole day ahead of us, and we're warming up and everything, and it's all good. And we get to the first tee. My boy hits one down the middle, and we're off to the races. We get to the first green. He had missed the green just short. He's like, "Give me my 56 degree." I'm like, "Okay." And I go to get the 56 degree out, and there are no wedges in the golf bag. I had left all his wedges on the chipping green. I'm thinking, "Oh my God." My first ever caddy experience. I'm already messing up. I mean, I didn't waste much time, but I'm already messing up, and I'm freaking out. He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna miss any greens. Like, we're gonna win this thing." I'm like, "Okay, I love the confidence." But anyway, he gets up and down the first hole. He putts it, and we find a rules official, and they say, "You know what? Let me go check on that. I'm not sure what the rule is, but let me go see. I might be able to bring him back to you." So we play a couple more holes. He didn't miss a green. I think he was maybe 1 under through 3. And here comes the rules official with all 3 wedges in his hand and no stroke penalty. And 33 holes later, we finished second place, and we qualified for the U.S. Junior Am in South Carolina. So I got very lucky, but that was the most stressful, funniest caddy story I think I've got to this day. Thanks, boys. Enjoy it.
Gordy, Zabo, hope you boys are well. Just checking in for the 100th episode. I was asking myself recently why my golf game isn't as good as it should be. When you spend weeks and weeks at the golf course as a kid. It was definitely caddying though. That's what killed any chance I had at turning a pro. You remember this one, Gordy. Remember I had to play against Big Graham Percival. It was in the school shield. I got the tee time booked about midday, so time for an early loop, which we completed just before I had to literally sprint up the car park to make the tee off time with Graham waiting there. To be fair, my mind was already gone because you got a second loop, and I'm thinking, I'm missing out on cash here. I've going to go and hack it round the Arn course one more time. And the thing about that course is there was just so much gorse. It was literally everywhere. So for me, being a little bit wild, it was an absolute nightmare. So the first, it was a wee par 3. So I get the 7-iron out, swung it so hard, almost swung myself off my feet, duffed it, and it went straight into the gorse, probably about 20 yards in front of the tee. So yeah, play provisional, exact same thing. So I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Walked over, didn't find either, so let's go one down onto the second tee. To be fair, I was starting to calm down a little bit. The old heart rate was coming down. So yeah, tell yourself, block out the last hole. Here we go. This is where it all starts. So it's a Big Graham, pulls out the driver, strikes one straight down the middle. So I teed one up, and oh my slice, this thing went so far right. It was in a different county. Over the gorse, over the road, over the trees over the other side of the road. It was a shocker. Put the provisional down, and boom, duck hook into the gorse. And for some strange reason, I'm like, I'm getting a shot, so let's go 5 off the tee. And I did actually manage to get it advanced up the fairway. However, got the 3-wood out, and boom, snap hook into the gorse again. So onto the third tee, and literally minutes, 2 down. Remember losing another 2 on that par 3? So I knifed them over the green, out of bounds, over the road. So that was another 2 gone, and 3 down on the fourth tee. At this point, I'm just not really wanting to be there, but to be fair, I thought, let's have a wee bit of a mental reset, deep breaths, and keep the driver in the bag. So I went with the 3-wood, and boom, I did hit the fairway. Unfortunately, it went about 150 yards straight up in the air, and it left a wicked sky mark on my 3-wood. Had a quick look at Graham, and he's I think he doesn't know whether to laugh or to cry or look the other way. He's got no idea what's going on, to be fair. Kind of lost it from there. Swiped at it twice, and I think they both went right into the gorse. After that, to be honest, it's a total blur. I just know that I lost another 4 or 5, which meant that I actually was out of golf balls by the 7th. 7 down, played 7, and that was it. went over to shake his hand. He did offer me a couple of balls, but to be fair, it would only last a couple of shots really. I didn't want to start doing that to him. So yeah, walked in 7 down after 7 and 13 balls, 14 balls later. Good news was that it would have been out for it wasn't even an hour, so I got another loop. So I didn't miss out on the cash. Happy days. Although I do remember walking up 6 and you were just making your way down 17 and you gave me the Vickies, which was nice and a big smile. So yeah, that was a little bit soul destroying. However, at least I still made a bit of cash in the afternoon. And I guess that's really why I'm not on tour and have a bad back and get sore feet. So there you go. Anyway, listen, thanks boys. Congratulations on the 100th episode. And yeah, looking forward to many more.
Gee, what's going on? Sabo here. Hey, I got a real good one for you. I don't think I've ever told this one on the podcast, but this happened a few years back. I had this father and son from New Jersey. This guy by the name of David and his son was Sean, and these guys were just legend. They were having a good time, drinking every day. Wife Anita was out with them, and they just the dad, it was his dream to bring his son to Pebble Beach. His son was probably 35 years old, and they played the gamut of courses. Dad was always shooting around 82, 83. Son was a pretty good player. He could get around. He's probably mid-70s. I think he shot like a 73 one day. But anyway, so the last day, the dad's dream is to break 80. Guy's never broken 80 his whole life. He's at the big course. His last day gets off to a real hot start. He's like 2 or 3 over to the first 8 holes. Bogey's 9, so he shoots 39 on the front. He's got it going on the back, and I'm like, all right, this guy's going to do it. He's having a good time. He's going to do it. And we're on 15 tee. Stripes one, puts one on the green. He's got about 15 feet. And at this point, his wife's walking along with us. So he's, I think, going into 15, he's probably 5 over. So he's got a pretty good chance at breaking 80. And he's on the 5th tee, and I give him, or 15th green. I'm giving him the read. He's about 15 feet. The guy's just a little outside right. He gets up to hit the button. He's about to bring it back, and he starts jumping up. He's like, oh. He goes, I got stung. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? He got stung by a bee. And his wife looks at him, and she looks like just mortified. She goes, you're stung? Oh my God, you're stung? And he's like, oh, I'm allergic to bees. And he starts like hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my God. And his son is just rolling his eyes at the time. So they call an ambulance because he's like, I'm going to swell up. I don't have my EpiPen. What's going to happen? They call an ambulance. They meet us down. The son's like, he's not allergic. He got stung when he was like 3 years old. He doesn't even remember. So the ambulance meets us down on the 16th. He's like, I'm done. I can't play. The ambulance meets us after the 16th hole. We cart him down there. He gets in. The son doesn't stop playing because he's like, he's not allergic at all. He's fine. The guy's sitting in the ambulance, huffing oxygen. They're giving him oxygen, and the paramedics are like, yeah, it doesn't look like you have anaphylactic shock or anything. It looks like you're pretty fine. And the dad doesn't finish out the round because he thought he was allergic to bee stings. It was absolutely epic, and to date, I think one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
My name is Rick from LA. To set the scene, this is Vegas, early 2009, months before the Hangover movie came out. We were going out to Vegas, so I'd caddy for one of my buddies. There was about 4 or 5 of us. Flew out on Monday, where the plan was to come back Tuesday night after the tournament. We're staying at the Villas at the Mirage, but I remember we were gambling at the Wynn. We're at the tables, having a great time, drinking shots, headbutting. I just remember it being a lot of fun, and next thing I know, I wake up on a hospital gurney, staring at the bright lights. I've got an IV in my left and right arm, hospital bracelet on, and I look down, I've got blood all down the front of my shirt. I remember I pulled the IV out of the left arm and pulled the IV from the bag on the right for whatever reason. I get up, walk right past security, catch a cab out the front door, and start heading back to the Mirage. Well, I looked at my watch, and it said 10 o'clock, and it was dark out. Shit, this can't be good. So I asked the cabbie what day it is, and he said it's Wednesday. And I'm like, fuck, my wife is going to kill me. And where are my buddies? They just left me here. There's no visitors. So anyway, I've got all these questions running through. I look at my phone. I've got about 3 messages from the guy I was gambling with. And it's like, where's my wingman? You just left me here. Where'd you go? Can't believe you did this. By the time I listen to all these, we're at the Mirage. I get out and I'm still a little bit confused, and I can't find the villas back where we're staying in the back of the hotel. And so I go to the reception area in front, and I ask the lady if someone could help me find the room. And she said, absolutely. And she looks at me, and remember, I stink, got blood on my shirt, hospital van. 2 guys come help me out the front door of the hotel and said, basically, get out of here. You don't belong here. I said, no, I do. I have a key. Here's the guy I'm staying with. They checked me out. It all checked out. They take me back to the room. They said, if your buddy's not here, you've got to leave the hotel. I said, okay. I said, I'm screwed. Key's not even going to work. And when we get to the room, and the key works. And they come in, and my buddy's, I remember him lying on the bed naked. He looks up and he goes, what the fuck happened to you? And I go, well, how'd you play in the tournament? What? Sorry, I missed it. He goes, what do you mean? I go, it's Wednesday. He goes, it is? And then the security leaves. My buddy picks up the phone, calls the front desk, and asks them, I'm sure you get this a lot, but what day is it? Turns out it was Tuesday morning, like 5:15. So I was still good, but the cabbie totally fucked me. So anyway, we get a call from our other buddy saying to get over there. We want to figure out what happened last night. He orders a big spread of food. Yeah, we got all this breakfast. We sit around, and no one can remember what the hell happened last night. One of my buddies said, I'll call the pit boss, the guy I was gambling with. Calls the pit boss. Turns out to be a great idea. The pit boss knew a lot. He said, you two are out of control. He said, I can't believe you were lifting the table while he was passed out on it. You're headbutting. After a while, you're screaming at your buddy to get up, and finally he gets up, says he has to go to the bathroom, walks down the hall, knocks 10 people over, falls on the ground. We called an ambulance and said that we called an ambulance and we're taking your buddy to the hospital. And you said, great, he's better off there. And you kept going. My buddy goes, well, wait a second. How many shots did we have? He goes, sir, you each had 13 shots of vodka in about an hour. And my buddy said, well, shouldn't the wind be culpable for some of this? He said, sir, have you ever taken no for an answer? Good point. He goes, well, how'd I do? I broke even, right? No, you didn't. He goes, you won. You won $80,000 in cash. We put it in a satchel. You left it on the chair and walked out the front of the hotel to catch your car. I have it here for you. You can pick it up anytime. So then he said, by the way, the ambulance called and said your buddy was puking all over. He stunk. They were real pissed. They had to do a thorough cleaning of the whole ambulance, which explains the blood down the front of my shirt. Turns out I had medium rare steak. If you remember, the reason I got up was to go to the bathroom, but I never made it. So the reason I smelled so bad is that I shit my pants. Mystery solved. Cleaned up, went out, caddied for my buddy, and we had a great day.
Hey, this is Snake. I'm down with playing with some buddies of mine in Pinehurst, and we're having a great day and got a great caddy, and we're getting along well. And we're walking down 9 fairway and just chewing the shit. And then next thing you know, we look down and there's a fucking iron cover in the middle of the fairway. And my caddy looks at me and says, should we pick it up? And I literally say, absolutely fucking not. And we keel over dying laughing and carry on. Someone that uses iron covers doesn't deserve to be playing at Pinehurst or to have a fucking caddy, to be honest. Anyway, have a great day, boys.
Hey, boys. What's happening? Congrats on your 100th episode. Stoked to be part of it. My name's Justin. Listened to you guys for a long time. Yeah, got a quick story on my wonderful experience with a caddy for the first time. This happened about close to 10 years ago. We had a caddy that will remain nameless. We get to the first tee, taking off all the head covers on our clubs, and I had one request. I was like, hey, I don't care about any club in my bag. Just leave the head cover on the Scotty. I have a Circle T, collect Scotties, just please. And the guy kind of looked at me and rolled his eyes and probably was thinking, F you. That's my only request. All good. we're playing. It was fine. It was early morning, Saturday morning. Keep going. Everything's all good. Get through the 7th hole. Caddy was fine. We finished 7. My brother and I, who are both very average golfers, I believe we were each 1 or 2 over, having a pretty good round for our games. And then the caddy looks at us and goes, "Are you guys ready to play real golf now?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, if you're not under par at this point, you're not playing good golf." And we kind of were like, What a dick. Why would you say that? He goes, "Those are the 7 easiest holes. Now we're going to start playing golf." Really wasn't needed, but whatever. So I don't recall exactly which hole it was, but he's down the fairway walking, and I look up, and there is the Scotty uncovered, bouncing in my bag. He hands it to me to putt at whatever green it was, and there's a perfect ding right in the top. That putter is now worth a lot less than it should be. And I'll just leave it at that and make that story pretty short. And congrats, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Hey guys, this is Patrick. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I just wanted to share this kind of ridiculous story with the podcast. So I was 19. I was home from college for the summer, staying with my parents. A couple buddies and I went to go play a quick 9. 7th tee box, my friend Chad, being the jokester that he is, tried to come up and basically hit me in the ass with his driver. He didn't hit me hard, but he kind of missed and came up and got me in the boys. We all know how that feels. I took a quick knee, felt better, got up, probably hit one of the best drives of my life to this day, even, 20 some years later. But as I'm walking down to my ball, I basically started to feel kind of that tunnel vision and nauseated. Took a few practice swings. I'm like, I'm done. Guys, you finish up. I flagged down a cart guy, took him back to the car. I drove these guys. So I sit down in the car, wait for these guys, felt better. And I'm like, all right, great, all good. So they show up, driving them home. We're making plans for that night. Get home after dropping them off, get out of the car, same exact horrible feeling again, like tunnel vision. I feel like I'm going to black out. I walk in the back door of the garage and my mom is standing there. I was living with them for the summer, and she looks at me and goes, "Patrick, you look like you've seen a ghost. What is wrong?" I'm like, "Mom, I got to check something out." So there's a bathroom just to the left. So I pop in the bathroom, drop trowel, and swear to God, my nutsack is probably the size of a basketball. So I freak the F out. I come out of the bathroom. I'm like, "Mom, we got to go to the ER." My mom's a nurse. And so she's like, "Patrick, what is wrong? Let me see." I'm like, "Mom, no, that's not happening." Finally, she convinces me. I'm like, "All right, Mom." So I show her, and I'm thinking this is going to be a calming influence. Not so much. My mom freaks out as well. So we go to the ER. The doc basically walks in, having not seen me yet, looked at my chart, and he's like, "It's fine. We'll put some ice on it, and you'll be good." Pulls sheet back, takes a look, and he's like, "We need a urologist." So for the lay people out there, urologist, basically a dick and balls expert. So essentially, I go to get a test, and the test was concerning, so I got rushed immediately to surgery. They basically found that the club had broken a blood vessel, and I bled into the boys. Thankfully, everything was okay. The doc was able to save everything, but it was an absolute nightmare. So fast forward a couple months later, I swam in college, so I'm back at school, and these were the days of the Speedos. Well, they couldn't get all the blood out during the initial operations. So what can happen is the blood can basically turn into a calcified ball. So it basically looked like I had a third testicle, which was, as a 19-year-old guy, not okay. So I went home for Christmas, and I went back to the original urologist. And I'm like, "Dude, this is not okay. We need to fix this." So he goes back, basically removes that area, which went fine. But me being young and stupid, I wanted to get back to swimming. I got back too soon. So at the time, I remember I was back at school at this point, and I felt horrendous. Febrile, like shaking, chills, didn't feel well. Everything hurt. And so I called my swim coach, and I told him, "Listen, you got to take me to the ER." So we go to the ER, and this was in Cincinnati at the time, and I go in, and basically everything had basically turned into a bad infection. So I ended up having to go back to surgery again, the third time, to drain this infection. And thankfully, everything ended up being okay at the end of the day. But yeah, be careful golfing out there, guys. Don't swing your clubs at your friends. Bad things can happen. Guys, Big G, I appreciate the opportunity to tell a story. I love the podcast. Thank you so much.
All right, boys, it's Big G talking to myself again. Strange, but not the first time. I've had a good think of what my story would be, and I finally chose this one. It's circa 2009, 2010, and I'm with my pal Craney, and we're caddying at the French Open. We both get late call-ups, and it's at that Golf National in Versailles. So we turn up on the Tuesday, we go straight to the golf course, and we've nowhere to stay. So my older brother gets the room in Paris. We're on the train late night or late evening to try and get into Paris, and we're kind of arguing. And this random girl starts talking to us, asking us if we're from Ireland. We say, no, we're from Scotland. She says, what are you doing here? Say, we're here caddying at the golf tournament. And we ask her where she's from. She says, I'm from Versailles. And we said, oh, you got a spare room for the night? Jokingly, we've just met this girl. She says, yeah, sure, you can stay with us. And it turns out she'd been a student in Ireland. So she was going to a concert, and she says, listen, give me your number. I'll call you when I get back to Versailles, about midnight. So midnight comes around, no phone call. midnight midnight comes around, she calls. She says, I'll be there in 15 minutes. So she turns up, we jump in a car, and we start driving up through the middle of Versailles, up into this apartment. It turns out it's her parents. So she shows us through to the living room. We go through the living room. She gives us a bunch of blankets, and she says, oh, you can sleep in here. Completely random. We can't believe how lucky we've been. So my pal Craney, he passes out, falls asleep. I'm lying on the floor, feeling pretty good, and then I need to go for a pee. And I go, oh, shit, I need to pee. But I can't start walking around this apartment and maybe walking into her brother's room or her parents' room. So I have an empty bottle, big bottle, it's about 1.5 litres, 3 pints, and I decide to start peeing in the bottle. So there I am in the dark, in the living room in some random's house, and I start peeing in the bottle. Ah, it feels great. Until I hear this gluk, 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 gluk. And anyone that's ever peed in a bottle, when you're driving in a car or anywhere, all of a sudden there's total panic. So I cut it off, which is really hard to do, and I look to my left and there's a plant. So I thought, perfect. And I just start pouring the urine into the plant. I finish off the pee, pour the rest of it into the plant, fall asleep, wake up in the morning. Now in the morning, my pal Craney's gone. He's gone to the golf course. And it's just myself, this girl, and her mother. Now she tells her mum that we are exchange students from Ireland. So I'm sitting having breakfast with these two. After breakfast, I go from the kitchen and walk into the living room. And I look over at the plant, and to my horror, it's not a real plant. It's a plastic plant. And the pee had gone straight through the plant all around the carpet. So there's this huge wet mark around the plant. So needless to say, packed my bags and left, and we weren't back for a second night. So there we go. Stories. What do you think of that, Zab?
Man, 100 episodes down. Pretty classic. I
There's
mean,
some really good stories in there.
There were some gems, absolute gems. I loved it. But I noticed that you left yours off till last. Why was that, G?
The cream always rises to the top. It's funny, I was chasing everyone else, trying to get their stories, and then realised, wow, I haven't even got mine done. So it's not the last story, though, because I'm going to play this one here. This is a guy called Colton Barnes who contacted me on Instagram, and he said, I've got a great story for you. So I gave him my number, and this is what he left. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, but you have to listen to the last 15 seconds.
Okay, let's play it.
Okay, Big G, this is Colton. Just wanted to shoot you a quick call with this little story I have. I'm going to give you the short and sweet of it. Back in 2020, during COVID, I was playing golf, like regular golfer at a municipal golf course in just outside Denver, Colorado. Playing golf, this guy shows up. I'm on the tee sheet, I'm on the tee box, I'm waiting for this guy. He shows up last minute. 3 guys teed off, and then starter's like, wait a minute, dude checked in, he's coming to the box. We wait for him. Dude shows up, doesn't even have his golf spikes on, hits the tee shot, we play, we get through the round. Guy gets behind trees, guys all over the golf course. Bad spots, ends up shooting 73. And I'm like, okay, this guy's a pretty damn good golfer. I go out and play again with him. Same thing, all over the golf course. bad spots, shoots 71 under par. Play a few more times with him, he's shooting in the high 60s. I'm like, okay, cool, this guy's a pretty good golfer. So then he talks to me and he's like, hey, I'm thinking about going and playing in a qualifier to try to get into the Phoenix Open. I say, cool, man, that sounds like a good idea. He's like, well, I played some mini tour golf down in Texas. I'd like to have a caddy with me. I prefer having a caddy when I go play. Awesome. He asked me if I'd be willing to do it. I'm like, okay, cool. I go down there with him. We get to the airport, go into baggage claim. Bag weighs, check bags, 50 pounds is the limit. Bag weighs 55 pounds. He pulls some stuff out. Great. Get it under the weight, get on the airplane, fly down there, go to the qualifier. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he's going to pull some stuff out of his bag. He was just throwing some stuff in there so he didn't have to take it on his carry-on in my mind. He pulls out his golf shoes, puts them in his carry-on so he can get on there and play. He takes nothing out of his golf bag except for the golf shoes. We end up looking at it. I have a 50-pound golf. You know what? I don't have the time for this story. I'm sorry, Big G. Your podcast is awesome. Sorry for wasting 3 minutes of your time listening to this voicemail. I don't have the time for this story. Have a good day.
Okay, so I don't think you wasted 3 minutes of my life.
Oh my God, Colton, what the hell? I mean, I was sitting there watching the time go by, and you have this big build up, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, okay, something's going on with the golf bags, taking stuff out. This is gonna get juicy, and then I don't have time to finish the rest of this story.
I don't have time for this story.
Colton, come on, we need to end. So who was? I bet was it a famous golfer or something?
I don't know. I went about 15, 20 years ago. I went to watch the Lord of the Rings movie with my brothers. And I remember being about 2 hours, 20 minutes in. I looked at my watch and I went,
they ain't going to wrap this up.
This is going to be a really sharp ending for the next 20 minutes. And it finished, and the boys said, what did you think of it? And I went, well, it kind of finished abruptly.
Yeah, they left me kind of
and
hanging.
they were like, what an idiot. There's 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 books, bro.
I know. So
trilogy.
So Colton sends me a text, and it just said, listen, just forget that message. And I went, oh, no. So I listened to it the following morning, and I'm thinking the same thing, Lord of the Rings. I'm thinking, he's got a lot of ground to cover here in the last
15, 20 seconds left. I mean, what's going to happen?
Then turns out he just didn't have time for it.
Yeah, I mean, Colton, come on. We need the scoop. What happened? Tell us.
Yeah, please get back in contact. He did say that he should be the bell end of the week, but I actually would give him a prize.
It was pretty classic.
Tell me, what were your favourite stories in there, Zab?
There are a lot of good ones. I liked Pat's story about the when his buddy whacked him in the nuts and it blew up the size of a basketball. He said that. Wow. I mean, to show your mom who's a nurse and then have your mom go, "Oh shit, that's not good," and then having to see a urologist. The ever important urologist. My father was actually a urologist.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So. Had to see a urologist, and I'm glad you got that sorted out, Pat. Also, the dude, Rick from Vegas, I mean, it sounded like the Hangover movie. I mean,
lunatic.
Unbelievable. It's tough to believe that that's actually true, but from what you've told me, you could believe it knowing this guy.
True story. I do know Rick. He sells cement in Los Angeles. He is married with children, so
wow.
He calls himself an adult. But yes, lunatic.
Some hijinks. My personal favorite was definitely the opening VP from Whisper Rock. That is legendary. VP.
Yeah.
You're Steve. I mean,
yeah.
Vice President of what? The United States of America, son. That's just unbelievable. You will forever be known as VP.
My favorite was Tim's. The tranny and
oh god, that was good too.
The tranny in Thailand.
You kind of have to that was a good one, Tim. But you kind of have to question the dude didn't show. Why was he late the next day? I mean, he couldn't sort it out the day before and show up on time.
That's what was it? Paul said to us. Oh no, we can't say that actually.
Oh, that was a good one.
that was a good one. No, but I loved the way that Tim was sort of saying, well, yeah, Thailand, they got like these Thai people.
He didn't know what to say.
He didn't know what to say.
Lady
boys, whatever.
They look like
But I liked that. It was kind of funny. He's like, if that happened to me, no one would ever find out about that.
I'm with him there. I wouldn't go bragging about that.
It's like this the scene in Trainspotting. You ever watch Trainspotting?
I have watched Trainspotting.
Begbie's outside the nightclub.
Oh yeah.
That's what it reminded me. So I hope everyone enjoyed all the stories. And if this is something that you enjoy, please send us feedback, because it's something that maybe in 15, 20 episodes we could do it again, where we just accumulate a lot of good listener golf stories. So please send in your feedback. Episode 100.
Congrats, G. You made it.
100 not out.
That's an achievement.
Yeah. So if we want another 100, here's another 100. The listeners can help us out. There's a number of things you can do, right? So if you get a pen and paper, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok,
Facebook,
Facebook.
All of them.
All of them. Just search for Glorified Donkey and you can
Follow.
follow us, subscribe, whatever it is.
Review, all that good stuff.
When it comes to the podcast, there's certain things you can do. You can review it. You can rate it. That's at 5. And the best thing you can do for the podcast to continue to grow and to get another 100 episodes is to tell other people.
Share it.
Share it with
people.
Friends, family, golfers, whatever it may be. So thank you very much to all of the storytellers.
Thank you. Yes, there were a lot of good stories. Thank you, guys.
I really enjoyed putting it all together. And I know there was a lot left hanging. So it's definitely something that I think once people listen to this and they'll think, you know what, I got a decent story.
Absolutely.
We could definitely do another episode very soon. Episode 101 will be out in 2 weeks' time. You don't have to wait 5 weeks like this one.
Yeah, already done and finished, recorded.
Already done. We actually have
a couple on queue.
Yeah, you get your father-in-law on the next one.
Will that be 101? Yeah,
101.
Big Jim Atwell is going to make an appearance on the podcast.
And then 102, it's already recorded as well.
Perfect.
So we're ahead of the game. Many thanks for listening. Zabo, thanks for your input, as always. Thank you for your story. For the listeners out there, many thanks for listening. Send your feedback, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. But until the next time, enjoy your golf, but more importantly, keep it humble.